Welcome to the Soul Archaeology podcast, a space for connection, resonance, witnessing, and learning. Together we'll harvest medicine from the spiral of life, sharing conversations with other embodied humans who have navigated their own initiations and found alignment with their true soul essence. With weekly astrology, energy updates, embodied conversation, and channeled teachings, this is a space for you to land and find resonance with the spiral of your own soul. Hello friends, welcome back to Soul Archaeology. We're in the last few days of Gemini season, and what a Gemini season it's been. Oh my goodness, it has been truly wild. I think we can all agree on that. We've had this just wild sprinkling of magic with Jupiter entering Gemini during Gemini season, and the interaction of that with the stellium, with the squares that have been occurring. It's been a lot. It's been a little wacky and chaotic and wild, also incredibly expansive and transformative as well. And this week we're navigating the last few days of Gemini season. So it's a really great time to just sit, be with what is, be with what is surfaced over the last month, what insights have downloaded through, what clarity has come up, if any. Maybe you just feel confused, and that's totally fine. That's a big theme of Neptune's journey through Pisces, is just this feeling that something's occurring, this feeling that something is unfolding and we're not sure what it is. And I think that's a pretty common collective feeling as well. We're all doing our best here. We're all navigating the unknown. I've been talking to so many people who are not sure where they're moving. They're not sure what their relationships are doing. They're not sure what their career is doing. They're wanting to shift into a new role or start a business. And this time is so much about trust. Being with the discomfort of not knowing what the other side looks like, and knowing when it's time to take aligned action and when it's time to drop back and flow. Because Gemini is so mental, it's so cognitive, it's chaotic at times. We've had this stellium, and now we have Mercury and Venus and the Sun all entering Cancer this week. And there's a lot of deepening that will occur over the next month. Cancer season is always a deep time. It's reflective, it's nurturing, nourishing, it's emotional. And if you felt a little spirally over the last month or the last few months, then this with Mars's journey through Taurus should be anchoring. It might be activating. It might bring up some emotions or some deep buried things. We have 2 full moons in this Cancer season, but it's going to provide some direction, perhaps a path. And typically that path is back into the spiral of you, back into your own internal experience, so you can be and remain anchored to yourself as you navigate the twists and turns of this life, of this timeline that you're on. We also have the Summer Solstice happening on June 20th. This is a portal. This is really an opportunity to open your crown to receive the wisdom, the insights, the extra light that's coming through. And I know I've talked about this a lot on previous podcasts, but the solar energy that we receive is data. It's wisdom. It's light. It activates and illuminates whatever within us needs illumination. The spaces that are dark or dense, the spaces that are wanting expansion. And so the summer solstice, for centuries, our ancestors from all over the world have seen this as a very auspicious event. It's a time of receiving the bounty, the the wisdom, the expression, the joy that comes through the sun. It's life-giving, and it's a time of celebration. So this week we have, on the same day, Cancer season starting, the summer solstice, and the day after that we have the full moon in Capricorn. So this is a week of deep dives, of downloading, of celebrating, of just allowing yourself to be open to the wisdom that's coming through, to celebrate being alive, to celebrate life, to find whatever glimmer, a glimpse of joy there is in your life to celebrate. It could be just the color of the grass. It could be the fact that there are plants outside your window, or that your niece or nephew is in your life, or that there's someone you love, or that you love what you do. Whatever it is, find that one thing and hold on to it. Celebrate it this week. We are swirling around. I think Gemini season really highlighted that for a lot of people. We don't know where we're headed. I think we have glimpses, we have downloads, we have channelings that have showed us where we are, where we're headed. But really all we have is the present moment. That's the only certainty we have. The only safety we have, really, is what's found in the present moment. And that's what we celebrate. When we're in the mind, we're in the future or the past. When we're in the body, we're connected to something deeper. We're connected to our life. We're connected to each other. We're connected to the earth in a way that is grounding and supportive. It's truly what we need most right now. And it's a time of celebration, the solstice. It's a time of celebrating this planet, this life-giving planet, the life-giving sun. As we move from the solstice in the beginning of Cancer season, Gemini is so airy, it's so social, it's so fast. Moving into Cancer, it's much slower, it's more introspective, it's a deep feeler, it's watery, it's emotional. We land right into a full moon in Capricorn on the 21st of June at 1 degree. And we have 2 full moon in Capricorn in this Cancer season. One is at 1 degree on the 21st. The second is at 29 degrees, which is a month later on July 21st. So we have Cancer season bookended by these 2 full moons. And having a full moon in Capricorn at 1 degree means it's initiatory. We are completing something. We are beginning something now and completing something by the end of July. We're in the beginning stages of this realization. We are having to remain open to what this full moon, this solstice time, brings forward. As we know, full moons are a halfway point in a lunar cycle. They're the peak illumination time when the moon is opposite the sun. It's fully illuminated, which means our internal world is fully illuminated. We're also halfway through 2024 with the summer solstice. So this is a very interesting time. It's initiatory because it's at 1 degree of Capricorn. We're entering into a new season, a Cancer season, but we're halfway through a year. We're halfway through a lunar cycle. And Capricorn is a masculine sign. It is the masculine. It's the father. The Capricorn Cancer axis is all about maturation. It's where we've been, how we've been programmed, our family systems, our external systems, how we've been raised, figuratively and literally. It also represents our internal family, our mother and father archetypes, our inner child, our wounded parts, our adult parts, our higher self, our inner child, all of these that exist within us that kind of run the show. This axis shows us where we hold programming. how we parent ourselves, how we care and nurture ourselves, how we push ourselves. Cancer is about emotional maturation, and we'll talk about that on the Cancer new moon, but it's about the mother. How does the mother archetype help their child mature? Those emotional dynamics, those nurturing dynamics, the push and pull between the masculine and feminine, and how both of those polarities are really needed. This isn't really about gender, but this is more about the polarities. This is about the energies. This is how we become whole, high-functioning humans. It's by creating the union within, our masculine and feminine union, seeing it reflected externally, having a healthy amount of people from both polarities in our lives. And as we know, the masculine and feminine parent very differently, and those are both needed. And once again, this is not about gender, this is about energy and about people embodying more or less of certain energetic types. And so this axis of Capricorn and Cancer is all about reparenting. It's all about how we've been conditioned, how we've been raised, how we've been nurtured, how we've been supported and guided, how we've been molded by our early experiences, and how we can take our power back to reparent the parts that didn't receive what they needed to fill the void, to love the parts of us that didn't receive what we needed to fill that space, to move through layers and thresholds of maturation in order to build confidence, to know that we can do hard things, to know that we can do things we never expected we could do. That's the masculine role. It's here to challenge us. It's here to provide enough structure, safety, security, foundations, so that we can then find the mobilization and the agency to move through life confident, secure. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is the father planet. It's about maturation. It's about creating systems, structures, self-responsibility to build healthy frameworks in our life. It's about creating healthy karma. It's about leaving a legacy. It's about really looking at, what does success mean to us? And that's so much of what this full moon will be bringing forward. Pluto has been in Capricorn for 15 years. This is the year where it officially ends. We'll have a little retrograde dip back in September, so that's approaching, and it's going to be highlighting some things. So I find it fascinating that this Cancer season is so Capricorn heavy. We have a square happening between this full moon and Saturn in Pisces. There's a lot that we're wrapping up, but there's a whole new layer of learning that we're beginning that will continue over the next 6 months as we officially close this Pluto and Capricorn transit. And so much of it is about the physical plane, the material plane. Capricorn is about, it's very practical. It's about reality, like the 3D reality we live in right now. It's about building. It's about the divine masculine, and how do we heal the masculine within us that feels less than, that feels unsupported, that feels fear. Where are you resisting your full potential? Where are you afraid to take the leap? Where do you need to go back and rewire some spaces and places within you so that you can take the chance, so that you can pivot off of the path that you're on if it no longer feels aligned? I think so much of our conditioning is that we believe our path needs to be linear. And I know so many of you who listen to this podcast have chosen a non-linear life. And that can be really tricky in this very linear 3D world that we live in, where you have a roadmap and you follow it. And if you deviate from that path, there's not a lot of support. There's not a lot of witnessing or mirroring back to you. It can feel very lonely. And because we are opening a new door this month with this full moon in Capricorn at 1 degree, And it's bookended, like I said, by the other full moon in Capricorn on the 25th of July at the last degree of Capricorn. There's something that's coming up. There's a lesson here. There's clarity that wants to come through around where you currently are, what's not working, where are you still holding programs and beliefs that are connected into old timelines, old expectations, old ways of doing things, especially on the physical plane around money, success, work, systems, rituals and routines, perfectionism, expectation, linear success, the masculine. And this full moon is squaring Neptune in Pisces, like I said. So something is ending, but we have no idea what's coming next. There's so much fogginess, and it's really asking for us to be deeply present with the here and now, to trust that as long as you follow the breadcrumbs, as long as you focus on putting one step in front of another, as long as you're connected to yourself, to your heart, you will know what the next right move is. And that's what we follow. We're almost in this foggy period, right? And we get these glimpses of downloads and clarity that come through on these events like the solstice this week. And then it might get cloudy again. It's meant to call us back into our bodies. And this doesn't mean that we can't dream and we can't project, a new future timeline. This doesn't mean that we can't have aspirations or plans. It just means that we have to be prepared for pivots. And so I ask you now, where are you resisting a pivot? Where are you terrified to deviate from the path that you've set for yourself? We're focusing on Saturnian themes around discipline, restriction, maturation. Let go of expectations. What does success mean to you? These are all things that will come up throughout this Cancer season. So how do you integrate your inner masculine? How do you father yourself? Maybe you didn't have a father present, or maybe your father was either not present at all, or maybe he was distracted. Maybe he was unable to attune to you or to show up in the ways that you really needed. How can you repair that space within yourself? How can you begin to trust that you have an inner guidance and wisdom that can carry you through, that you have the capabilities to forge a new path, that you can build a foundation for yourself that is completely and 100% authentic to you? And because so much of what Pluto and Capricorn has been doing over the last 15 years is breaking down stereotypes, breaking down the linear way we believe life has to be, the systems and structures that aren't working. That's collectively, but we also have these same systems and structures internally. Where are they limiting you? We're pivoting right now, so many of us. We're pivoting from these timelines and these pathways that were set for us very young, and we're pivoting off. And Capricorn is about maturation and fathering. It's about accomplishing something that's soul aligned. It doesn't mean that these things don't take hard work. Sometimes I think there's a misconception that we can just manifest the shit out of our lives and sit back and eat, granola on the couch and everything will just come to life. I don't actually think that you guys believe that, but I feel like there's a lot of languaging like that, right? And I know when I did an episode with Kristen Erlacher, she talked about the will. And this is so Capricornian. It's so Saturnian. Inviting in the will. Where does your will need to come through? The universe needs direction. It needs our assistance. It's a co-creative process. So even if you don't know where you're headed, even if that isn't totally clear, the end goal, where can you create aligned action in your life to start to build a new foundation? Because so many of our other foundations are crumbling. It can be very disorienting. I'm experiencing that in my own life, where so much of my structures that I have felt safe building upon in my life are dissolving. And once again, I have to find new ways to build security and safety in my life. And not even just like practically, this is internally, this is subconsciously. Where can I invoke my inner masculine to help me feel secure as I create, as I build, as I expand? Gemini season brought up so much around duality, being this spiritual person in this life, knowing how powerful you are, your connection to source, to the divine, this desire to simply be in connection to that, to be in nature, to be in eternal union, while also navigating humanness, navigating taxes and the physical plane, and buying a house and putting food on the table and having friends, being a parent, all of these things that are practical 3D items. I feel like in Gemini season, so much of that was coming up. Like, how do we hold those two? The deeper we go into this process, the more we realize that they're not separate at all. But how do we navigate that, like, actually? And Gemini is the bridge. It's bridging that. It's bridging the 3D material and the spiritual. And so whatever downloads you've gotten about that over the last month, you can bring that into this Cancer season, repairing the spaces within us that feel torn or ruptured. That Cancer glue, that loving, that mothering. I do so much work with the mother in my own work with clients. It's all about the divine union within. But we realize also along this path that just as much care, nurturing, and attunement is needed from the inner masculine as well. And in order to challenge our programs, in order to do things differently, I just talked to a friend couple that they grew up with rather unhappy programs around holidays. The holidays were not good experiences for them growing up. And now that they're parents, they are rewriting that, not only for themselves, but for their children. It started because they were rewriting it for their kids. But when I was thinking about it and sitting with them, I realized that they're actually rewriting it for themselves as well. We are not stuck or tethered to these experiences that we had. We get to create new. And that's empowering. And so that is what we're focusing on, is how can you let go of the old programs and the old ways, these Capricornian themes, the relationship with the inner masculine. How many of us are holding anger towards the masculine? How can you repair that internally through your relationship with your own inner masculine, your own inner father? We don't have to hold that grudge. We don't have to be a slave to our resentment. As we move through Cancer season, it will be so much about mothering, nourishing, nurturing our emotional experience. But this is also about nourishing and nurturing our external experiences, our physical plane experiences, our relationship with success and achievement. July is a big maturational portal. It's a time to buckle up and really, really believe that we can do what we need to do. But it's preparatory in some ways. We might not see what's coming next until early next year. That's just kind of the reality of it now. So be with the unknown. Let yourself find safety through your inner masculine, knowing that whatever comes your way, whatever the next timeline has for you, you can navigate it because you're capable, you're dependable, you do what you say you're going to do, you show up for your inner child. That's how you build inner confidence, is showing up for what you tell yourself you're going to do. And this doesn't mean you need to have the most elaborate morning routine in the world. This means setting 1 or 2 very simple goals each day and show up for your inner child in a way that you're father or mother or parent figure or caretaker was not able to show up for you. That's maturation. It's releasing the idea that we are a victim to our circumstances, and it's taking the reins, taking the power back, and finding the aligned action that we need in our life to feel more secure, more confident, more safe, more joyful, more expansive. So I invite you into deep connection with self, to examine your relationship to self, how you judge yourself, your relationship to success, expectation, to even take a look at where you are in your life. Does it feel aligned? Where is a pivot needed? And how can you begin to build some confidence within, with your inner masculine, your inner father, so that you know you have a guide through this. This full moon is also opposite Mercury and Venus, which are entering Cancer on the 17th. So there's a shift in our relational realm as well. There's a deepening, a softening perhaps. Hopefully this month won't feel as overstimulating. It might feel more grounding. It's in water, which will feel a little bit more grounding, perhaps maybe more orienting. So a lot will come up around our values and relationship during this full moon as well, having it opposite Venus. I am hosting a Summer Solstice full moon workshop on the 20th of June, this Thursday, at 9 a.m. Pacific. So for my European loves, I hope you can join. I am also going to be recording this. So that recording will be sent out right away, right as soon as it downloads. You'll be able to watch it as many times as you'd like. You can watch it every day of Cancer season if you want. It will be a really deep dive. In the beginning of these, I love to do just an astrological download. I'll be talking about each person's sign and how you can work with it. I'll do a full breakdown, similar to this podcast, of the astrological climate. I'll talk about tools and resources you can use to integrate what's coming through with this solstice and this full moon. And then we'll go into a deep journey. And this journey is a combination of shamanic journeying, quantum intuitive healing. So there's a lot of power in these experiences. I've talked to so many people who have had pretty profound downloads, physical experiences, and pretty major shifts following these workshops. So you can find that link in the show notes and at my link tree on Instagram. And I would love to have you there. I'll be doing these monthly. I'm going to bring that back and sort of build out a Patreon with these and with some bonus episodes of the podcast. So look out for that. It's very exciting. Thank you, as always, for your presence, for being here, for showing up, for listening, hearing that people listen to this podcast while they bring their kids to school, while they go on walks with their dog, all over the world. It truly just fills my heart with so much happiness and joy and fulfillment. And I'm just so grateful. Thank you for being here. The card that I pulled today, you might just fall over because it's about as literal as it gets. It's the Divine Masculine card. When I was shuffling these, I'm always calling in our guides, calling in our loved ones in spirit, our ancestors, calling in source and the directions to pull through the message that's needed for this community, for all of you. And it's always pretty spot on. This Divine Masculine card, though, I just laughed out loud. It was so wild. And this card is all about presence. And it says, I don't read these cards until now, so I don't read it beforehand. I just trust that what's coming through needs to come through, but I love it while I'm reading it with you that there are so many connection points. So it says it's about presence. Resonant with electricity and extraordinary skill, Divine Masculine enlists his perfect mind to gallantly deliver creative instruction. He harmonizes his influence with the Divine Feminine's untouched omnipresence, giving rise to the exquisite individuality that characterizes all life. This sacred polarity between the divine masculine and the divine feminine is responsible for the totality of existence and lives within each of us, regardless of how we identify ourselves within our own body. Divine masculine indicates that your full presence is required. By simply aligning your unfractured consciousness with the moment, you supply healing and balancing truths and conjure new possibilities and outcomes. It is much easier to receive a message from your inner masculine wisdom when you anchor your full presence within each moment. Practice this, and you will soon discover a secret. You are a painter of galaxies in the legend of the real. When it's balanced, your harmonious attunement with self, others, and surroundings. When it's imbalanced, there's cognitive dissonance, lack of connection to the greater world. And to bring into balance, remove distractions and become fully present in the moment. Do only one thing at a time. Wow, that's pretty spot on. So I hope this resonated for you. I hope that you received whatever you needed to. Of course, as always, take what resonates, let go what doesn't. This is here for you. It's a channeled message for each and every one of you. Sometimes you might receive more. Sometimes you might let go of more, but I'm just so glad you're here. So I hope you have a beautiful week. I'm looking forward to seeing many of you on Thursday, and I'll talk to you soon.